Myself, V.V.Gopala Rao, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Applications, Aditya University. Okay, today I am going to tell you about protocol layers and their service models. So, in the previous classes, we have seen about what is meant by what is computer network, what is meant by internet, and what is the meaning of switching, and what are the problems you notice when you go for a packet switching, like a delay, loss, and throughput, etc., etc. And today I am going to tell you about the actual protocols and various service models available for computer network for the data transmission to conduct in a secure way. So now, as far as my plan is concerned, after completion of this particular lesson, you are able to find out various service models, and also you are able to identify the layered structure of the service models, how many layers are there, and what are the functions of each and every layer. So these are the things you can able to understand by after completion of this the session. Yeah. So the network model. So what is the basic idea of a network model? So the basic idea of network model is to facilitate or to have a network which is reliable for data communication by following set of rules. So here I am using a word called set of rules. Technically, in the computer network, set of rules is referred as a protocol. So finally, what you understand is computer network basically follows protocols. So without a protocol, so the transaction, whatever you are expecting, may not be done properly. So if you follow rules and regulations, so if everyone is following the same rule and regulation, so that the transaction can take place in a smooth manner. So that is why the protocol is playing a very, very vital role. So now, who is going to design or who is going to define these protocols? So there is an international standard organization is responsible to form different types of models by which it can able to define how many layers are to be there and how many, what are the functions of each and every layer. So these are given by the ISO people, and ISO is only an organization which is designed or which is defined a model called OSI model, which is shortly called as Open Systems Interconnection. So open systems interconnection is the very basic model which is designed by or defined by ISO people. Why? Because if we don't know the actual the way how the network is to be followed by various devices which are manufactured by various people, then again it is a problem for you to manage all the devices to come close and do a transaction properly. So that there should be some kind of rules and regulations to be defined by people, and that is why ISO is coming in front, and it is decided a model called as service model called as OSI model, which is called as Open Systems Interconnection. Later on, after OSI and its functionality is concerned, people have some second thought of going for or reducing the layers and to some extent, so that another model is defined, and that is called TCP/IP. That is called Transmission Control Protocol, and Internet Protocol is the full form of TCP/IP. More or less, TCP/IP and OSI are similar. With respect to layers and their functionality is concerned, the number of layers may be more or less reduced in TCP/IP compared to OSI. So, but basically the responsibilities and functions and all coming together, more or less they meet almost similarly in both the cases. So you see on the screen, you find the model that was suggested by ISO people, which is called the OSI layered structure. Here I am using a word called layer. So why layering is actually preferable? Because instead of giving all responsibilities to only a single single level, better you divide the overall work into different levels, and every level suppose is dictated with some responsibilities, so that the overall burden will be reduced, so that more efficiently the actual level can be performed, and automatically overall the work can be done in a proper manner in an efficient way. So that is the reason why the OSI model is basically designed in a layer wise manner. And basically you on the screen you are finding there are 7 layers from bottom to top, or from top to bottom, whatever the way you are comfortable you can designate. But actually for following some notation, I say that the physical layer is the first layer I can call. Why physical layer is the first layer we are actually considering means because that is the closest layer to the medium. So all physical characteristics can be identified here in this physical layer. So that is why it is called as a physical layer, and that is the first layer I can able to recommend. And next is the data link layer, second layer is data link layer, and third layer is called as network layer, fourth is transport layer, fifth is session layer, and sixth is presentation layer, and seventh is application layer. So here, suppose you find out, you see that there is a sender. You see that there is a sender here. So imagine that I am showing that on the screen. There is a sender here, which is referred as yes, and on the other side there is a receiver, let us say. So in between there is a model we call OSI. Sender is now sending the information to the receiver. Then in this case, what actually the sending and receiving devices are actually taking place, or their role is, suppose if you want to see that, then the sender is able to first of all it is going to the application layer is responsible to take the actual process that was actually interested by the sender, because the application layer is very closest layer to the actual sender. So immediately whenever any application is interested by the sender, it will be taken up by the application layer. From 7th layer it goes to 6th presentation layer, and it goes to 5, it goes to 4, it goes to 3, it goes to 2, it goes to 1. So if you see at the sending area, the navigation is from 7th to 1. That means from application layer to the physical layer, the transmission can take place. Whereas if you come to the receiver area, then the physical layer is the closest layer. From through that layer only the transmission can finally reach the destination, and from there it is going to the data link layer, then to the network layer, then to the transport layer, then to the session layer, then to the presentation. Finally it is going to reach the application layer, and after application layer you find out the receiver here. So that if you see this scenario, that the sender application layer is taking the actual job, and it is going to pass the information to the physical layer, and the physical layer carries the information to the receiver, and the receiver at the receiver end, the physical layer automatically passes the information to the application layer, and application layer is finally gives the information to the receiver, so that the cycle closes here. So this is the way how the architecture is designed, and the sending and receiving devices can able to have a transmission called data transmission by using the layers which are in between designed by the ISO people. Now here the ISO has designated or designed, or actually it has given some kind of the ISO has given some responsibility, has dictated some responsibilities or functions to the each and every layer, so that the layer has to follow those responsibilities. Similarly, the people also can understand what the layer can do, up to what extent the layer can do its responsibility. So people can have an idea, so that based on that they can give some job to the layer, so that the data transaction can take place in a proper manner. Suppose my interest, as far as my interest is concerned, I take up from the application layer, because application layer is the layer which is going to take up your process very close to the user. So let us start from the application layer. Application layer can take the actual which is having the highest accessibility to the resources, so that it takes the application from the actual source, and it passes the information to the next layer, which is called the presentation layer. Means what? Suppose whenever you fire a job, whenever you start a job of data transmission, first of all, the process may be taken up by the application layer. It will understand what type of process you are actually interested. Based on that, it is going to recommend a particular protocol to conduct the transaction successfully. So that is why application layer is a very, very crucial layer, which is responsible to select a proper protocol to conduct the job. And once it is done, then it is going to direct the next layer, that is called presentation layer, which is going to present the information, the data or the message in a secure manner. The presentation layer is responsible to see the security aspect, because if every message is known to everyone, then there is no kind of a security, then privacy is not there, then hacking may be possible, or any damage may take place. So the presentation layer is responsible to see the extent of security of the data or the valuable information. So what actually it is going to follow? It is going to do certain things, follow certain processes. One is called, it may translate the message into a new format, or it may encrypt the message into a unreadable format, or it may compress the data for reducing the size so that accommodate in the medium. So these are the basic things which are actually been carried out by the presentation layer. And when it comes to the next layer, that is called the session layer. Here this word session means a startup and end up of the actual transaction. In between whatever the time that is taken place can be totally called as the overall session. Suppose you start a job at 10 o'clock, and suppose if you finish it off at 10:15, then the overall session is of 15 minutes duration. So this is the way how you can able to calculate the session and the duration of the session. And after that, the session layer is responsible certain things called to establish a connection. So the connection establishment is a very, very vital role of the transaction to take place smoothly. If you have a connection, automatically, so nobody will interfere in that connection, so that the transaction can take place. So session layer is responsible to establish a connection, and it has to manage the connection from the disturbances, and also once the session is over, it has to terminate the session so that others can able to use the actual medium. So this is the way how the session layer is going to involve in this matter. And after that, once it is done, then it is going to give the information to transport layer. Transport layer is the middle layer, because above transport layer there are 3 layers, and below transport layer there are 3 layers. So transport layer is the middle layer, and which is having the vital responsibilities to see that it is responsible to see the transaction is done smoothly from end to end. The message whatever the sender is sending, so it is to be carried to the destination. So once the message is from sender to the receiver or source to the destination, then it can be called as end to end, from one network to another network. So from one device to another device, from one source to the destination. Suppose if you are overall, if you are able to see how it is happening, then it can be called as end-to-end. Transport layer responsible to do the job of end-to-end message delivery and error recovery. So it is another important responsibility of the transport layer, error recovery. Because you receive a message which is of all errors, then what is the use of that? So it is no use. So that is why transport layer is responsible to see whatever the message that is carried and which is transmitted should be done in a errorless way. So that is why transport layer is having a very vital responsibility in the overall scenario. Once you come to the next layer, that is called network layer. Network layer is a layer which is local, you can call. That network layer is belonging to the local network, whereas transport layer and above layers of transport layer can be referred as global. Why I am saying that? Network layer is close to your network. That means it is belonging to your local network. Here in this case of network layer, the packets or the message will be observed in terms of packets, and the packets may be from source to the destination, and finally it is going to carry the information to the data link layer. That means network layer is responsible to carry the message in terms of packets, and it is responsible to see the careful or the reliable transaction from the source to destination in terms of packets. And after that, it is going to give the responsibility to the data link layer. Data link layer organizes the packets in terms of bits. Here only you find bits. In the above layers, you will not find any bits. So just now I told you that in the network layer you find the message in terms of packets, whereas once it comes to data link layer with some boundaries, it is going to give the information or the packet in terms of bits. So the bits can be transmitted in the next layer, that is called the physical layer. So the data link layer is responsible to provide node to node delivery, not from source to destination. Node to node means whatever the device that is in between the source and destination can be referred here as a node. So between node to another node, so whatever the transaction that is taken place should be conducted smoothly with the help of data link layer. It is the responsibility of the data link layer. And the next thing is called as the physical layer, which is responsible to find out the proper medium suitable, whether it is wireless or wired medium, and the characteristics and the capacities and the features. All these things are to be considered in this case of physical layer, and thereby it is going to allow the message in terms of bits, and the bits will travel in the physical layer, and finally it is going to reach to the destination, and at the destination the navigation of the job will be, or functions will be from the physical layer to the application layer, because application layer is the final layer at the destination, so that which is close to the user. So finally user is able to identify what the message is. So that is about the responsibilities or the functions of the different layers which are proposed by the ISO, and there are 7 layers, and every layer is having its own responsibility. But here, so later on in the second thought, people actually redesigned it, the OSI model into a different model that is called TCP/IP protocol suite. So this TCP/IP protocol suite is totally called as a transmission control protocol internet protocol suite. Why it is called as a suite? Because all necessary protocols are available in this overall structure here. In this case of the TCP/IP, you see that there are certain layers which are actually combined. So you see that physical layer and data link layer are actually combined here, and network layer, of course, it is as it is, and transport layer is there, session layer, presentation layer, application layer also totally they are combined, and finally it is called as an application layer as far as the TCP/IP protocol suite is concerned. Here in this case of protocol suite, you find all protocols: SMTP, FTP, HTTP, DNS, SNMS, SNMP, Telnet, etc. All these are different protocols, and these protocols are meant for to conduct a different job. For example, if you take FTP, it is called file transfer protocol. So it is for transmission of file. It is for transmission of file. Similarly, HTTP, hypertext transmission protocol. So here there are various protocols which are available here. TCP is another protocol which is found out in the transport layer, transmission control protocol. UDP, user datagram protocol. So like that, there are various protocols which are available, and every protocol is meant for a specific purpose. So TCP cannot do UDP job, UDP cannot do TCP job. Okay, so that is why these are the various protocols which are available in the TCP/IP protocol suite. So okay, that's the thing. Just I am going to briefly show about what is actually the OSI model, what is about TCP/IP, and what are the various protocols available, what are the layers available, what are the responsibilities of that are over. Now I hope that people, the students, by this lesson are able to know about various service models and also know about various layers available in the service models, and also able to know about the functions of each layer in the model. Okay, thank you.